And now here's the lineup for today's featured Meadows Budweiser Breeders' Cup Handicap. Number 1 is Ornitos. He's owned by Leroy Crum, trained by Chuck Jenda, and Ron Warren Jr. is the jockey. Number 2 is Wild Gold, owned by Ken Blackwell, Murphy McFarland, and Debbie Volkman. Dent Caton trains Wild Gold, and Paul Toscano rides. Number 3 is Mr. Jolie. He is owned by Arthur Appleton, trained by Neil Drysdale, and in the saddle is Tom Chapman. Number 4 is Concept Win. Owned by the Glen Hill Farm, Concept Win is trained by Willard Proctor and ridden by Gary Stevens. Number 5 is Soviet Problem. This filly is owned by the Harris Farms and Don Valpredo. Greg Gilchrist trains Soviet Problem, and she is ridden today by Russell Baze. And number 6 is Want a Winner, owned by Larry and Verlaine Hillis. Want a Winner is trained by Charles Gibson, and the jockey is Van Belvoir. That's the lineup for today's featured Meadows Budweiser Breeders' Cup Handicap. Post time in less than 5 minutes. Here comes Mr. Jolie, 10-1 currently. Concept Win, the second choice at 9-5. Here is the 1-2 favorite, Soviet Problem. She moves in nicely. And Want a Winner. They're all in line for today's feature. And there, racing, and Soviet Problem. The chestnut came off marvelously. So did Wild Gold. And as they link up with the main track, Wild Gold sprints away from Soviet Problem. Moving up on the inside is Ornitos. Concept Win is 4th. Want a Winner, wearing the white polka dots on the outside, is 5 off the pace. And Mr. Jolie is closest to the rail. They run to the half-mile pole with the long shot. Wild Gold 2 clear from Soviet Problem. Ornitos running in 3rd. Then it's another length back to Concept Win. Mr. Jolie is second last, and Want a Winner is at the tail. 5/16 to go, and Wild Gold taking them just as far as he can. But Soviet Problem is running after him now in second. Then it's 4 back to Ornitos. They swing for home, and Wild Gold is a length clear from Soviet Problem. Ornitos is 3rd. Concept Win 7 from the front. Running to the final furlong, Wild Gold is running a great one. Soviet Problem is trying to wear him down on the outside. Then it's Concept Win. It's Wild Gold and Soviet Problem. But Soviet Problem is the fastest filly in America, and she has won it. The unofficial result for today's Meadows Budweiser Breeders' Cup Handicap. The winner is number 5, Soviet Problem. Second, number 2, Wild Gold. Third, number 4, Concept Win. Final time for 6 furlongs, 108.58. Ladies and gentlemen, in the winner's circle presenting the Bay Meadows Budweiser Breeders' Cup trophies are Lou and Yolanda Matagrano. They are joined by Frank and Diane Matagrano and also by John and Nicole Cook. This group is representing Anheuser-Busch Incorporated and the local Budweiser distributorship, Matagrano Incorporated. And now entering the winner's circle, Soviet Problem, 6 wins in a row. She's a 4-year-old chestnut filly by Moscow Ballet out of Nopro, Blama. Soviet Problem is owned by the Harris Farms and Don Valpredo. Greg Gilchrist is the winning trainer and the winning jockey, Russell Baze. Soviet Problem was bred in California by her owners. In the $2 pick 3 on races 2, 3, and 4, the winning numbers were 6, 10, and 5, and it paid $18.60. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up momentarily in the winner's enclosure will be Bay Meadows paddock commentator James O. with an interview with a member of the winning connections of today's Bay Meadows Budweiser Breeders' Cup Handicap.
All right, down here in the paddock after the Bay Meadows Budweiser Breeders' Cup with the winning connections, jockey Russell Baze to my right and Greg Gilchrist to the left. And just before we came on mic here, we were talking about how quick Wild Gold ran in front of you. Boy, he was a tough one to catch today.
Well, yeah, he's a talented horse, you know, and when he throws a race like this, it takes a pretty good horse to beat him. Luckily, I was on a pretty good horse.
You are on a pretty good horse. That second fraction, 43 and 4 out there, and your filly, that's kind of slow for her, isn't it?
Well, no, I'm kind of glad it wasn't me going that fast. I might have got choked after the race.
Well, now, what were the instructions here, Gilly? What did we tell Russell?
Well, the same thing I always tell Russell. I said, when the bell rings, just get to the wire as quick as you can. You know her, and the 2-horse made it very interesting.
Now, you knew he had a lot of speed. You'd seen his race over at Golden Gate when he went very quick. Did you think he was going to break on top?
I'd have lost a lot of money if you'd have told me he was going to be 2 in front of us at the half-mile pole. But every once in a while he'll throw that kind of race, and he ran big today. It's a nice horse.
He is a nice horse. And boy, by the way, don't you think maybe Dent Caton's jumping up and down because he got the most money in this race?
Yeah, Dent might have started riding about the 8th pole. I think that's when we got him. I don't.
Russell, this filly, she just does everything you want, and the track here been really helping speed along. But boy, your filly, she just pins her ears. She doesn't mind being a little off or right on. It doesn't matter. She digs in.
No, she's a complete pro out there, you know. Just like today, she proves she doesn't have to have the lead. And she's just a great horse to ride.
All right, Russell Baze Day, and can't be much more fitting than this. You don't get the big money with the 150, but I got a feeling you might ride her next time.
Well, she runs here. I'm certainly hoping so.
Maybe we can talk him into it, even if she runs somewhere else. All right, Russell, go on. Sign some autographs. We got a guy over there who wants you to sign an autograph, Russell. Greg, don't run off just yet, and then let's get Mr. Harris over here. Mr. Harris, congratulations. Terrific victory. You got to be pretty happy.
That was really great. We always thought this filly could come from behind, but we never had that experience before until today. She really came through. I was a little worried about the 8th pole, but Russell knew what I was doing.
Why don't I just put you guys on the spot and say where the heck's she running next?
Well, that's not really up to me. I train her, so.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I would imagine that we'll get our heads together and we'll make a decision. We're going to have to pretty soon. Time's getting short now, and we'll talk some things over in the next week, I'm sure.
Maybe since the Breeders' Cup is back east, you got to think a little about that race at Pimlico or Laurel.
That's something to consider. There's a race in Japan on December 18th.
Wait a minute, where?
In Japan. So there's a race for $1.8 million, and Greg always wanted to go to Japan. And this will be the opportunity for him. It's $1.8 million, and they don't pay your way over, but we can probably take a boat or something. And
Pretty fluent in Japanese, are you, Gilly?
Well, I probably I ought to get over there about Thanksgiving, so I got plenty of time to acclimate.
Okay. All right. We obviously getting pretty giddy down here because the great filly from Northern California wins again. Soviet Problem, let's take a look at her race right now on the replay.
Thanks.